Oh boy, it's been a while since I last made a video, huh? It's kind of been inconsistent, and I'm sorry about that. I just kind of fell into a depression, and meds that my doctors prescribed me did not help matters either. It was not a fun time to be me. But, to be fair, during that time, I did recuperate myself, catch myself up in my mind, and play a shit ton of video games. Halo Wars 2, Zelda, Breath of the Wild, Mario Kart 8, Shovel Knight, Horizon Zero Dawn, Crash Bandicoot, and the one I'm talking about today, Sonic Mania, and how it relates to Halo, namely how it can save the Halo series. Now this entire following bit is scripted. I had to write this stuff down so I wouldn't forget or go off track. So with that said though, take it away past me. Halo. I love this series, but personally it's been in a rut for me. The first 4 games were amazing with the exception of Halo Wars 1, but the next 4 range from decent to mediocre to just plain bad. And those are never good numbers. But you know what other series has been stuck in a rut but even longer? Sonic the Hedgehog. His first 4 games were great, but it hasn't really been able to recapture the glory days no matter how many times the light appears in the distance or how good some of his other outings have been. But fortunes have changed for our Speedy Blue Hedgehog with the release of his latest game, Sonic Mania, a game that harkens back to the first 4 games to massive success, being the highest rated Sonic game in 15 years and winning over countless haters like Egoraptor. Which leaves one question: how can Sonic Mania save Halo? First though, we have to understand what Mania brought back in the first place, namely the style of Sonic's 2, 3, and Knuckles. Sonic 1 doesn't count because honestly, look at this gameplay. But for the others, it was fast-paced, momentum-based platforming with great amounts of replayability with new characters, new paths and stages, and finding all the Chaos Emeralds for that extra challenge. And it had some of the greatest jams of the 90s with themes like Flying Battery, Carnival Night Zone, and Metropolis. Unfortunately, however, later Sonic games lost their way, and the series went downhill with the occasional success like Adventure or Generations. But what was the greatest sign of how the mighty had fallen, even attempts to bring back the classic gameplay throughout the momentum, great music, and great replayability, leaving nothing more than a husk of its former self. This is honestly what makes Sonic Mania such a breath of fresh air. It brings back the classic style just how you remembered, but even better this time around. Mania is even faster, even longer, and even more replayable than the original classic games. But at the end of the day, it still feels like the classic games, and the joy I felt playing was nothing short of exhilarating. And the music? Yeah, pretty fucking sweet. But how does this successful revival apply to Halo? Well, like I said, Halo's glory days are behind it, just like Sonic's were last year. But if Sonic can revive itself, then maybe we can get a Halo Mania, work on that tale later, that brings back the classic style of Halo and honors the series' legacy. Just like how Mania focused on Sonic, Tails, Knuckles, and Dr. Robotnik, Eggman, whatever he calls himself, the focus wouldn't be muddied by taking on more than what the series is used to. Instead of continuing the story of the Master Chief's war against Cortana and the Created, and I'd say spoilers for Halo 5, but Halo 5's story was shit, so I'm not going to say it. We instead focus on the smaller scale. 1 Spartan, 1 AI, a ship full of Marines plus their toys, and an entire alien army set to annihilate them over an ancient world with the promise of ultimate power to the winner. But how would we do that though? Well...
Whoa. You've been busy?
Not as busy as you.
The grav lift. What do we do?
You hold on.
Wait, what? Wait a minute!
That's right, we already have it with Halo Wars 2, and the characters Jerome and Isabel. The entire plot is, lost human ship finds ancient world with ultimate power and must fight a new enemy to get it, just like in Halo 1, and we already have the human AI dynamic with Jerome and Isabel. As for the other 2 Spartans, Douglas and Alice, make them supporting characters who pop up from time to time to assist like the Arbiter did in Halo 3. But that isn't enough. Like Mania, we can't just call back to the first game and call it a day. We have to honor the legacy of all the classics and evolve it. And again, Halo Wars 2 has given us the big thing that Halo 2 introduced, an actual villain. Where Halo 2 had the Prophets, Halo Wars 2 has Atriox, a brute chieftain. So we have the plot dynamic of 1, the villain of 2. So what can 3 bring to the table? The massive set pieces, that's what. Missions like the Ark, the Storm, and the Covenant served as great set pieces and almost entirely removed the walk down corridor and shoot thing levels from 1 and most certainly from 2. Ever played the Arbiter levels? No, just, they're bad. Just, ugh. And the one time 3 did do those levels, it was one of the worst levels in the game. Just like how Sonic Mania goes back to Sonic 3 and Knuckles with its shield abilities, multiple characters, and massive levels, a Halo Mania needs to go back to 3 set pieces and evolve it while giving us characters as simple as in Halo 1 and backed up by the kind of villain 2 had. But most importantly, Halo Mania needs a passionate team that cares about the Halo franchise. And while I have no doubt that 343 is that team, I want to leave with a warning, because Sonic did try a classic revival once, like I mentioned, but with a team not nearly as passionate as the Mania team. I'll have a video comparing Mania and this up later. That said, have a good night.